Hello kids, it's me again, back with another video, and I have some very exciting news today because I just finished my very first feature-length screenplay, and I am so happy about it. Oh my goodness. And I just wanted to make a video about the process to share with you all, just in case you wonder how the screenwriting process goes, or you're a screenwriter yourself who wants to maybe write more, or you don't know anything about screenwriting and you kind of want to know like how it all works. By the way, this is just the title page and blank paper. I was not about to print out my entire script because that was going to use up like literally all of the paper and ink that I have, so it's a prop, okay? So I would just like to say that this is a very big deal for me, and it is a big deal for a couple of reasons. Number one, this year of our Lord 2021, I had tried 2 different times to write a feature-length screenplay, because for the majority of this year, for like, I don't know, up until August, which was only a couple of months ago, I was just kind of chilling at home looking for jobs, and I thought, okay, I should probably use this time to actually be a writer, because that is what I want to do, and work on a feature-length script. Because, I mean, up until that point, I'd only written like shorts, which is fine, but I wanted to write a proper feature. So I had this one idea, I started writing it, let's see, it got to about 50 pages and then it kind of died. I didn't really know where I was going with that one. I only kind of had an idea of how the story was going to go, and by the time I made it to like, I don't know, one of the major plot points, I didn't know where to go after that, so I just stopped writing it. I do want to revisit that idea at some point, maybe not now, but somewhere down the line, because it was a really good idea. It just wasn't planned out nearly enough. The other one I never even started writing because I think I just got way too into planning it. So the first time what I did is I didn't even write like a synopsis of the story. I just had the background and then all the character descriptions and everything like that, and I just kind of went from there, and I had everything just kind of up here, which is fine because like my memory is good enough. But apparently it wasn't good enough because, well, not that it wasn't good enough, it's just that I literally hadn't planned far enough for it to go anywhere. And so for the second one, I was going to actually write a treatment. So basically what a treatment is, if you don't know, is it's the entire movie, but not as a screenplay, just kind of writing out the main story beats and not in screenplay format. It's used sometimes to pitch a screenplay, but I was going to use it to actually write it, and I thought, okay, if I actually did some proper planning this time, then it might actually work out. But it didn't, strangely enough. I did the overview, which is like a rough plot synopsis for the whole thing, and then I went to write the treatment, and I don't know, I just, at some point, things just weren't making sense or working well together. It was gonna be like a dystopian film, which 2013 called, it wanted its movie genre back. And also at some point during the planning for that, I realized that I myself would not watch a movie like that, so like, why would I write it? So once I realized that, it was pretty much dead, and so I moved on. Who is texting me? God, it was my mom. She is actually texting me back because she read my script. Also, me actually starting and finishing a script was a big deal, because aside from a Warriors fanfiction that I wrote in like 2012, 2013, when I was literally in middle school, I went back and looked because I wanted to know, but it was 28,000 words and about 30 parts long. It still exists on fanfiction.net, which I'm surprised that site still exists, but it's still out there floating around in the ether. I thought about doing a stream, reading the whole thing, but like I said, it's 28,000 words. It's kind of long. I mean, it's not exactly NaNoWriMo length, but it's still surprisingly a lot. So aside from that, I actually never finished a long-form piece of media. I'd always written short stories and short films, but never like anything novel length, which I knew going into creative writing when I did that in school for the first 2 years. Somehow, in my heart of hearts, I knew that I would not be able to write like 300 pages of prose. That just wasn't coming out of me. I never actually like tried to write a feature before, and honestly, I do kind of prefer screenplay format over like prose format. I don't know why. It's just, I like writing it better. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, not that it's more engaging, but I don't know. I just really like writing in screenplay format better. That really helped to get me to finish this because I actually liked writing it. Let's talk about the script itself. As you may have seen, caught a glimpse of it a minute ago. It's called The Complete Reinvention of One Amalia Harper. That is a working title. I was never the best at coming up with titles, obviously, so that's just a working title. Honestly, there's probably a way better title that I could have used, but I thought of that one and I just kind of stuck with it throughout the whole thing. So don't roast my title. I already know it's bad, okay? I do want to read the log line. I'm not going to give everything away, just the log line, just to give you a taste. If you do want to read everything, you can reach out to me and we can work something out, but that's only if you're like a director or a producer or like a manager or agent or something like that. I'm not going to be sending my script to randos is what I'm saying. Serious inquiries only, thank you. Also, I guess since I just said that, even if you do ask for it, I'm probably not going to send it to you because, like I'm going to go into later, I still need to do a lot of revisions. It is literally the first draft. I finished it, I made the PDF, and I did not look back. The general public probably won't be able to read it for a while, if ever, honestly, I don't know. Here is the log line. Did I explain what a log line was? Yeah, it's basically just really rough overview of the story itself. There's a whole formula for it. Here it is. When a dull young woman is broken up with following a near-death experience in the summer before her freshman year of college, she takes the change of scenery, her new lease on life, and her acceptance into a new eccentric friend group as an opportunity to reinvent herself, but soon comes to realize that her new friends are getting her into increasingly troublesome situations. So that is your taste. I do realize that this logline is kind of long. I still need to work on it. Loglines, they aren't supposed to be very long. Really, they're supposed to be like one sentence, and this is already like too much. The logline needs work, but that's the essence of the story. Oh, also, it is 89 pages. I got it just to 89. Typically, you want a script or a feature-length script to be between 90 to 120 is what I saw, and then I also saw 120 and under, but I think 89 is also good because, I will say this, when I actually looked at the reports in Fade-In, which is a program that I use to write in, basically, I think the breakdown of, actually I can look at this right now. Okay, so Fade-In is telling me that the ratio of action to dialogue is 65-35, which means there's more action than there is dialogue, which means the script is going to be a little bit shorter. I was actually reading about it to see like, oh, do I need to like pad this out? And I saw that A Quiet Place, which I've never seen, but I've heard of course, that script is only like 75 pages. I'm not sure the runtime for it. I'll put it up here. Why not? I feel like it's in the neighborhood of 2 hours, but of course, since that was more action, it was going to be shorter because dialogue takes up a lot of space on the page versus action, if that makes sense to anyone. Also for this script, I kind of forgot when I started planning it, but I feel like I did it all like in an afternoon. And according to Google Drive, I started writing it on September 11th, which was a Saturday, and I finished it on October 20th, which was this Wednesday. So taking that information, it took me about 1 month and 9 days to write this, which is way shorter than I ever expected it to take. And considering that I wasn't like constantly writing, that didn't take as long as I thought it would take. I don't know, for some reason I thought writing like a full feature-length script would take a while, and honestly at this point I don't know if there's much I can add, but I like literally just finished it Wednesday, so it's Friday when I'm making this. I completed the script on Wednesday. Final scene, the end, all of that. I don't know, it didn't take me as long as I thought it would take me, considering, you know, how long it takes to like write a book. That takes, honestly, forever. It feels like forever. And as you may or may not know, I have zero patience, so that's why I probably couldn't write a book. Because, you know, I got all the ideas up here, but it's just the act of getting it out onto the page that is the issue for me. It just takes a while. But obviously it's not impossible because I managed to do it now, so that's reassuring. Alright, so let's talk about the actual writing process itself. For the idea, I sort of kind of got it from a book. The title of the book is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I'm actually looking at it on my shelf. And really all I got from that was the premise, like the bare bones premise. So in that book, a girl, well, a woman, she's a grown woman, she is almost hit by a car, and she realizes as her life is flashing before her eyes that her life is really boring. So she decides to spice it up. And of course, since it's a romance novel, she does that with the help of a hot man. So, you know, my script, no hot men involved. So I think I'm safe. No infringerino is going on. It's really just, you know, my character also, well, the title character, her name is Amalia Harper. She also experiences a near-death experience. And after she's broken up with by her D-bag boyfriend, she makes a vow to herself to become a more interesting person while she is in college. Now, it also, I won't say it comes from personal experience, but I also kind of felt like that I wanted to maybe not completely change myself before I went to college, because here's what happened. I went to high school in my home state of Alabama, and I went to college in my now state of Mississippi. And the college that I was going to, nobody from my high school was going to it, so I felt like I could really have a clean slate of sorts. I even considered going by my middle name when I was in high school for like going by my middle name when I was in college for like a couple of weeks, but then I realized that literally nobody's like called me by my middle name, so it'd be really hard to adjust to. So like, I think I'm just gonna stay Arin for the rest of my life. I think that's fine. It's fine. I like my name. But like, that's just what I felt. And I don't doubt a lot of college freshmen kind of feel this way. When they get to college, they want maybe a clean slate or to change themselves. Sometimes it's for the good, and sometimes, like in my script, it's for not good. So there you go. I think it's something that a lot of young adults can relate to. The process of me actually writing it, first I wrote out the logline, just kind of like a basic idea. The logline that I started with is not the one that I have now. It's actually a little bit different, but it didn't change all that much. The wording just changed a little bit. And then after that, I wrote the overview, which is 3 paragraphs. Each paragraph is like an act of the story. But they're like long paragraphs. Obviously, the first act paragraph is gonna be short. Second act paragraph, real chunky. Third act paragraph, also kind of chunky because I had to spell out some details of like a specific scene. I wrote the overview, and then after that I wrote all the character profiles just to keep them all in one place, so I would know, you know, each character's name and their significance to the story, what they do, how they relate to the main character, stuff like that. And then after that I started writing the script, and I wrote it linearly, which is something that I realized when I was in college, specifically in creative writing, is that you don't have to write linearly. If you have a scene and maybe it takes place in the middle of the script or in the middle of the movie, I guess, I don't know, you can just write that. You don't have to wait. And that actually really helped me out when I was still fancying myself as a novel writer. But for some reason, I didn't do that here, I guess, because, I don't know. I guess for this specific instance, I felt that writing linearly was just the best way to go. And I mean, it ended up working out, so, you know. But something that, I mean, it seems obvious, but really it's not that obvious, but you don't have to start at point A. I mean, honestly, if it made sense to you, you could write it backwards. But I just didn't do that in this instance. Tip for all y'all out there, if you need it. I mean, it helped me. It might help somebody else. I don't know. So when I was writing it, I was essentially following the overview pretty closely. Even though for a lot of the second act, not a lot of it was like spelled out. Aside from like one or a couple of central scenes in between, it was just kind of like vague descriptions of what happens, not like completely what happens like a treatment would have been. I just kind of kept it really general so that when I actually got to writing it, if I wanted it to take it in one direction or another, I could have. But obviously, you know, I gotta get from the point A of one plot point to the point B of another plot point. I think the overview really helped me out a lot in figuring out what I wanted to do. There was a point that was very troubling for me that I had gotten to. Honestly, this was like last week. So I was on page like 75, and I had gotten to the big end of second act scene where something big happens. I got to this really specific scene that I was working up to the entire time, and as I was writing it, I was realizing that I didn't really know how it would go, and it was like, oh man, have I hit a wall like I did with the script that only made it to like 50 pages, but I eventually worked through it and figured it out and obviously managed to finish it because here I am now. So this time around, like I said, I really felt like I knew where the story was actually going as opposed to the other 2 times. The first time, of course, no plan, just writing, just going at it. Second time, I had a plan, but I couldn't figure out how to get from point A to point B. Even though I had sort of kind of written it in the overview, I felt like the overview for that was too vague, and so it didn't really work out. Who's texting me? Why am I so popular all of a sudden? Whenever somebody follows me on Twitter, which you should also be doing, my phone vibrates like twice, and it sounds like I'm getting 2 texts. I really felt like I knew where I was going at this point. I felt like I had more of a plan. I knew how to get from point A to point B. I knew which steps to take, and that was very reassuring because I didn't have that the last 2 times. So for this, at first, I will admit, this is only at first, I did most of my writings on my lunch breaks at work and also on the weekends. My lunch breaks, I get an hour for lunch, so I spend like 30 minutes of that eating and then the other 30 minutes writing. But like I've said before, I do sort of kind of have a lot of downtime at this job, so I realized that, okay, if I don't have anything to do, I can't just sit here twiddling my thumbs. I might as well put this time to good use. So I worked on my script at work. Sorry. Hey, listen, it wasn't gonna get done any other way. Listen, if I only had weekends and lunch breaks, it wasn't gonna get done. Point blank simple. I wasn't shirking my work to work on my script. It was literally when I had nothing else to do. So yeah, that's when I did it, and so I did that over the course of a month. Like I said, I wasn't working on it constantly. There were a couple of days where I wasn't writing at all. For this, I absolutely did not follow the Stephen King school of thought when it comes to writing. I don't know if I'm misattributing this, but I'm pretty sure Stephen King said that he treats writing like a full-time job, which means he writes for 8 hours straight every day. Now, if that means actually like writing for 8 hours straight every day, or just like working on something for 8 hours straight every day, I'm not entirely sure, but I didn't do that. If I didn't have any think juice, I wouldn't try to squeeze any out. So if I couldn't write, I would just not do it. And there were a lot of times where I just couldn't write. However, those times were maybe, like I would go a couple of weekends without writing at all, which was, so like 2 days max, maybe 3 days max that I spent just not writing at all. I will say not having the think juice was a little frustrating at times, but I mean, really the only thing you can do when you don't have any think juice is you wait for it to regenerate. There's really nothing else you can do. You can't force it, is what I'm saying. You can't force something out. And honestly, that's really essential, because when you try to force something out, you might end up with a product that you don't really like. And I felt that after I had, maybe taken a weekend off and resumed on Monday, then I had a lot more high quality think juice. If you can't write, then don't force it, right? So it really helps that writing isn't a full-time job for me, because if it was, I would have very low job performance because I just don't got the think juice all the time. I finished it Wednesday. It was literally a few days ago. I haven't, okay, this is gonna sound weird, but I haven't read it. I finished it, right? I wrote the final scene. I put the end at the end, and then I saved the PDF, and I was like, okay, that's enough, I guess. I haven't actually read it through. And honestly, okay, I'm gonna give it a couple days, maybe up to a week before I actually return to it, because it's gonna need some revisions. Obviously, this is a first draft. I can't first draft, last draft this one, all right? So I feel like if there is some time between me actually finishing it and me reading it, then I might be able to actually spot stuff that I wouldn't before. I have to let the script marinate. It's gotta marinate. I keep saying think juice, but listen, it's gotta marinate in the think juice so that once I come back to it, it'll release its flavors. Dude, I don't know. This metaphor is getting out of hand. So, like I said, I've got several revisions to go. I think I said, well, it was actually in my last video, my Shane Dawson video, that scripts take a long time to write. Practically speaking, they don't take a long time to actually write, but to actually get them from the first draft to the last draft. If you're actually producing a script, you'll be doing revisions up until you actually start shooting. And then after that, you'll probably still be rewriting it. So to be completely honest, until the script hits the screen, you're not done writing it. So, and that can take like a really long time. I've still got a lot of revisions to make. I'm looking forward to them. I'm really excited to get the script that I have to the best state that it can be. But I do realize that it's going to take a while. And I'm willing to put in the time, you know? I put in the time to write it. I'll put in the time to rewrite it. So, what did I learn from this experience? This experience of writing a script. So I will say that one thing, I mean, it's not something that I learn, but it's something that I realize, and it's that writing is actually like really fun. Like, I like doing this. It makes me feel good, you know? And I think it's a good thing that writing makes me feel good, because I do want to be a writer. And if writing made me feel bad, then like, well, what's the point of that, you know? Why would I do something that makes me feel bad, right? And honestly, okay, that's kind of a simplistic way of looking at things, but I think it's good, for me anyways, that I actually enjoy this process, because honestly, immediately after I finished writing the script, I was thinking about what I was gonna write next. Like, oh my goodness, especially yesterday, I was trying to like come up with ideas of my next feature, and I mean, obviously, it's not gonna come immediately. I know that, but like I have a couple of options, I guess. Like, I have some shorts that I have, or like some unfinished short films that I have that I can make into a feature. And then the script that I wrote earlier this year that died at 50 pages that I tried to kind of plan out a little bit more. But honestly, that's, like I said, it was a good idea, but there also, at the same time, wasn't much of an idea. And then there's a story that I was working on, honestly, since my freshman year of college. Oh my goodness, 2017, when was that? Anyways, there's a story that I was working on in my freshman year of college that I've honestly been wanting to revisit for a really long time. But when I was doing that, it was gonna be like a book. It's not gonna be that anymore, obviously. It's gonna be a movie. I was thinking about doing that. Honestly, I was working on the overview for that today, and I got pretty far in it. I have a pretty good idea of where it's going, which is good. We got a point A, and we got a point B, and we got everything in the middle. I don't know what to call it. Anyways, that idea is working out a lot better than like the 2 or 3 other ones that I tried to think of over the past like 3 days. It's literally been 3 days. I should take a break from writing, but like, I don't want to. I want to keep writing. Like, honestly, I felt a little empty after I had finished this script. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do now? I was working on this for so long, and like, now it's done. So it's like I had my mind in the world of this story for this whole time, like a month, just kind of a long time. And now it's like, now I just gotta move on. Because like, there's not really much for me to add. I can't add more to the end of the story because it's done. It's self-contained. There's no sequels in this house. And so like, I felt a little empty inside when it was finished. That's an interesting feeling. It's the feeling that you get when you finish a series after a long time. I wish I could say it was a feeling that I got when I finished Game of Thrones, but yeah. But okay, after Mr. Robot ended, I felt like, oh man, it's over, you know, like, where can I go from here? Like, so, you know, that was an interesting thing to feel afterwards. For the whole, you know, screenwriting thing, this isn't a book. I can't just like self-publish it and be done with it, you know? Writing a screenplay is the easy part. I'm just gonna say it. It's the easy part because the obvious end to a screenplay is a movie. And there is a whole lot that goes into making a movie. For that aspect, I kinda don't know what to do next. I mean, okay, the obvious next step is revisions. I need to get people to read it. The fact is that you can't look at your own piece of work objectively and see what's good and bad. You need other people to do that for you. So I just need to get other people to read it. I'm not using Reddit. I refuse to use Reddit. Like, okay, the r/screenwriting subreddit is good for some stuff, but I'd rather get people that I trust to read my material than randos on Reddit, if that makes sense. So no thank you. The people that I went to film school with, they're all like pretty busy nowadays. So honestly, I just gotta get past myself and like reach out to some people and send them my script. So that's honestly just like a me thing. There are probably some people who would like to read my script that I like actually know. I just gotta tell them that I made one and like send it to them. So that's more of a Arin brain thing than a movie industry thing. So that, yeah, okay. And like I said before, I did send it to my mom. She's really the only one that I sent it to. I told one other person that I finished it, but I just didn't send it to them. So yeah, she just texted me back and said that, oh, I love the script, it was great. Eventually though, I'm gonna call her. The thing is though, my mom, she's not really familiar with the format, so she can't really tell me what works and what doesn't work in the script itself, like when my former classmates could. So really, I just wanted somebody to read it, which is why I sent it to her. After doing the revisions, then I have to actually write query letters, I guess. I don't know. I was thinking about finding representation, but that, I don't know how that works. I'm gonna have to figure it out. I'm gonna have to ask some people. I'm gonna have to talk to some people about it. I got a script, so all I need to do is get it into the right hands, and that's easier said than done. So that's, yeah, like I said, writing is the easy part. I mean, hey, the Squid Game guy, he was trying to sell that series for 10 years. He went into poverty before Squid Game even got made. So, you know, but I'm gonna stay optimistic, and I'm just gonna keep working on writing other scripts. Like I've been told before, even if you do pitch something to someone, one of the things they're gonna ask you is, okay, what else do you have? And if I only have one feature, it's gonna look a little silly on my part, so I at least want to have like 2, maybe 3, just to have them, you know, just in case. Just keep a couple of them in my back pocket, I guess. And then of course, like I said, I have to continue writing other stuff, maybe revisit the 50-page script, keep doing what I do. Since it is buckets of fun for me, it's not gonna be difficult. The only difficult part for me is when I don't have any ideas. That's kind of hard. Cause like, I wanna write, but I don't have anything to write. So once I actually got something to write with this last script, I had a blast. It was great. Oh my god. I love writing so much. What can you learn from this? Well, hopefully you learned a little bit about my writing process, how the screenwriting process goes. I'm not really sure what can be gained from this on a personal level, because honestly, all writers are different, all writers write differently, and all writers have a different method when it comes to writing their scripts. Some people, they have the Stephen King school of thought where they write for 8 hours a day, every single day. Maybe not the weekends, maybe they give themselves holidays. I would hope so. But some people, they only write when they have think juice. And one thing that I heard from an actual published author who was a professor at my university, he said that some people are, I can't remember what the 2 terms were, I just know that one of them was that some people are seat of their pants writers, which, you know, they just go by the seat of their pants. They don't really have a whole lot of planning. And the other types of writers are like the opposite of that. I used to think that I was a seat of my pants writer because the one long piece that I was working on my freshman and sophomore year of college, I didn't really have a whole long thought out plan, like written out. I just kind of had it up in my noggin, which surprisingly it stayed there. But obviously as I am taking that and adapting it to the screen, it is changing a little bit. Changing for the better, but changing a little bit. So yeah, every writer is different. Some people's processes will be very different from other people's processes. I think the most important thing to realize is that this is possible. I thought that 90 pages of a script would be so much to write, like an entire undertaking, because again, prior to my attempts at writing a feature, I had only written shorts. The longest that I had written was like, I want to say 12 pages. But honestly, that one that I'm thinking of, the ending wasn't even really an ending. If we say the screenplays that I've written that are like actually like thought out, have a proper beginning, middle, and end, longest, I mean, most of them are under 10 pages. So that was what I was starting with. Writing a feature is possible, and I guess this can translate to novels. Writing a novel is possible. It's just probably going to take longer than a month. But if you got a good plan and if you're motivated, you can do it. Honestly, this sounds like motivational speaker tings, but I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's really easy to get discouraged when writing long form pieces of media. Now I'll say like a TV series is like a whole different beast. Honestly, I mean you could, technically speaking you could, but you definitely need more than one person on your team when you're writing a television series. That's why they have writers' rooms, right? You hear that, Tyler Perry? You can't do it yourself, you need help. I haven't tried writing a TV series, but I don't know if TV is something that I want to get into. I might do it just for the heck of it, but honestly it sounds way harder, and honestly I'm just trying to go with baby steps here. I wrote shorts, now I wrote this feature. I'm gonna try a couple more features before I try an entire TV series, okay? And even if I do that, I'm probably gonna have a writing partner, so I gotta take it slow, all right? In conclusion, I love writing, and that's all I have for this video. Follow me on Twitter, donate to my Ko-fi, read my Medium articles. God, I gotta stop doing that. I gotta stop being weird on camera. I did put out a new Medium article this week. I forgot which day of the week, so don't ask me, but it was this week. It's new, and you should read it. It's sort of kind of Halloween themed, because it's about ghosts. Now that I've done with this, I think I'll go write some more.